This is Terra of the Old Path. It's created by Sylvia Gainsford and Howard Rodway. It's by AGM Urania, and you can still buy it. So this deck came out in 1990, and copyright was renewed in 2015. Made in Belgium. It said it was created by Gainsford and Rodway with the help of 8 witches, puts that in quotes, and representatives of the traditional Wicca path. So it's a Wicca themed deck, and it mentions the magical old path. So let's take a look. Normal box, we have the little white book. It's a handbook of female wisdom. It doesn't say that on the box, but it does say it on the little booklet. And let's see. We've got 2 cards. There's a advertisement, and then we have a guarantee. So these are pretty standard as far as the coating goes, and the edges are fairly normal. Feels good in the hands. It's a nice size. It's this really nice back that is reversible, but it does have 1990 copyright at the bottom of one corner, so it's reversible, but not. It's reversible, I guess. It's sort of looks like a honeysuckle vine. So let us look at the cards. So this is the Magician. And it looks like a man throwing runes. A wolf coming out of fire. There's a white unicorn. Stonehenge in the back. Elemental symbol. We have lightning. A sword. The High Priestess. Another unicorn. They're very colorful. We have the white and the black. We have a serpent, a squirrel, lots of wildlife. The Empress. Here she's pregnant, but she has a baby that looks like it just popped out. She's nursing. And we have the lamb, a hare, a pomegranate, a moth, a bleeding heart dove, a deer, the Emperor, and we have the ram, of course, the iris, falcon, dancing. Very pretty, colorful cards. They're not as thick as I would. I mean, they're pretty standard, but they feel a little floppy to me. The High Priest. Here we have an elephant, a buffalo, an eagle. The Lovers. There's an angel. Where are there angels in Wiccan stuff there? I don't understand that. Instead of the chariot, we have mastery. Here we have 4 horses symbolizing, I guess, fire, earth, water, and air. No canopy. Strength. Of a woman riding a lion with a caduceus. She's grabbing its tail too. The wise one, so the hermit. We have a little bunny. A stuffle to sneeze. The hermit. He has a little anchor around his neck, like a ship's anchor. Strange. The Wheel of Fortune. We have a king, a jester, and I guess a peasant or a servant. The snake, Ouroboros. Justice. Here we have a man instead of a woman. Different take. Key on his belt, it's around his private. The scales for Libra. Path wandering up. He's staring right at you. And he looks like a swan. It's kind of hard. It has really tall legs though. Some type of bird. The lone man instead of the hanged man. We have a crow. He's the jester. He's missing. Stuff is falling out of his pockets. We have the deer. We have a moth. Water lilies. His eyes are closed. His hands are behind his back. The leg is crossed. And he's dressed in motley clothing. Ooh. The clothes. Instead of death, we have the clothes. We have a heron, a snow owl, a barn owl. Death, sort of as a death as a spirit almost, with a baby where you can't see its face. It's turning to look. Maybe that's hinting at, the death of one person, the birth of another, but also babies can see things that others can't, maybe. Here we have the guide instead of this be temperance? We have a naked man and woman. We have Isis and maybe some other things here. An angel. Different card. Be the moon, maybe. The moon is the guide. Temptation. This would be the devil. Here we have a fox with white eyes, a snake. Thunder in the background. And here we have the tower. We have a toad. A tower of a face breaking up. There's two people falling naked out of the top. Looks like which was stairs that went up. And we have the star. That was not the moon, that was temperance earlier. We have a sextant, lilies, poured on water and land. I love that hair. Illusion, so the moon is illusion, and it makes more sense. Here we have the crab, the crayfish, two dogs. One dog is hardly seen, the other one's there. We have a willow tree. Newt. Egyptian mythology, or just the sky. And this almost looks like judgment, with the hands outreached in the sorrow. The sun. Signs of the zodiac. Fire. I love the little triangle there. A phoenix bird. Stonehenge, or monoliths. Karma. 20. Birth. Death. The lane of souls. This would be judgment. Being judged almost. The world. We have a woman with full breasts. She's cupping them. Her eyes are white. She has elements floating around her. Almost like the female version of the magician. And the fool. This is the order in which they came, so the fool was put at the last, since it's card 0. A baby crawling into the fire. And the mother's like, oh no! There's a partridge or a quail going off to a path. One path leads off the cliff, one path goes in the distance, one path goes up the mountain. And then we have the minor arcana. So we have rods, and then we have cauldrons instead of cups, and then we have swords and pentacles. Pretty traditional. Here we have Stonehenge in the back, ace of rods, two of rods. I love those. Those shoes, they're tied to the top of his, under his knee. He's on stilts. Three of rods. It's a pear tree. I love these borders. The borders they kind of go up and they're different on most cards. So you have the title, which is actually kind of big, but these borders are very unintrusive. I like them. They kind of frame it without framing to the point of being, ugly. I do love a nice, thoughtful border. And even on the border, some of these things go off the border. So it's not so forced. Six of rods. Seven of rods. Eight of rods. It's an interesting one. Flying brooms and sparrows or swallows. They look like barn swallows with a forked tail. Nine of rods. 10 of rods. A burden. Carrying too much. A warning, you'll drop what you have. He's trying. It's making it difficult though. Page. Knight. Oof, faces look mean. But they're done well. They don't look overly cartoony. Queen of Rods. Fiery redhead with morning glory in her hair. King. Sort of middle-aged. Green hair. Fiery crown. Now we have Cauldrons. So this one has the 3 moons representing virgin woman crone. And traditionally the cups, not only do they have to go all the way back, to Catholicism and the vessel, but woman as vessel of child container. When they're identifying skeletons, they look for the bowl shape of the pelvis to identify a man versus a woman, and it's almost like, it's a cup, which is interesting. And of course the blues with water. People having fun, merriment, very colorful cups, like rainbow cups on 3 pedestals. Cauldron, not so much a cup. That looks like the Queen of Wands and the King of Wands, but they're doing something else. 5 of Cauldrons, knocking them over. 6 of Cauldrons. You have a flower coming out of one. 7 of Cauldrons. It's almost like he has his own harem. 8 of Cauldrons. Snatching them away. It's a colorful costume. 9 of Cauldrons. We have obese people who don't know when to stop. They keep eating and eating. Gluttony. Abundance. 10 of Cauldrons. Obviously they're wealthy, well-to-do. There's a castle in the background. There's water flowing. They have a healthy child. Page of Cauldrons. I don't think that haircut's in style. It looks like foxglove behind him. It's very strange. That hat. The knight. He's staring sort of... It doesn't look like he's staring quite at you. It looks like he's over your shoulder. He has some... looks like dianthus, maybe? Queen, she has a peach. She's very pretty. Very well put together. Very poised. King. The iris. He has fish on his sleeve. Kind of wise, not too old. Looking towards the future. Contemplation. Here we have the Ace of Swords. Love the little oak leaves there. And of course we have, this is the air element. 2 of Swords. The sword being masculinity, the phallus, aggression, the protector, almost the decider. I mean, if someone had a sword and they were coming after you, you either flee or you die. So it's almost like you have limited choices, which I think shows in the cards. Here we have this person's been knocked down, could be dead. Maybe 2 suitors fighting, and she's left sort of miserable. Here we have the 4 of Swords. Her mouth is covered. It appears like her hands are tied, but they're not. She's sort of trapped in a walled area. She could be praying, she could be begging, but she's not kneeling, she's still standing. 5 of Swords. A man dressed like a bull. There's blood on the sword. 2 swords. Six of Swords. The man is turned. We see his little butt peeking out in tights. Swords are rising from the lake. Like you're having help to present a challenge, but yet your back is turned. Maybe a warning, maybe good luck. Seven of Swords. It's an interesting card. 8 of Swords. Looks like someone with depression. The head is bowed, holding the chest close. Insecurity. Maybe not realizing everything that you have, or maybe being surrounded by enemies, surrounded by stress, surrounded by issues that are maybe not beyond your control, but maybe you need to start tackling them. Each of the swords has a handle presented to the figure, so at any time the handle can be touched and pulled from the ground. You can choose to toss the sword, or you could use the sword to your advantage. But you only have 2 hands, so you can only use 2 swords at the same time. And if you use 2 swords, you're not as adept as if you were using 1 sword, because it would be too unwieldy. Well, that card says a lot. Here's the 9 of Swords. Person is bound. Looks like being threatened by swords all around. Not a very, usually not the very nice card. And this one does not look very nice. 10 of Swords. You can't tell if this person is, oh, they know they're, I was like, oh, they're sleeping. No, he's covering a wound on his chest. It looks like it went right into the heart. You can see the blood starting to seep out into the fabric. Not too gory, but not a good card. Ooh, this guy, he's got mushrooms. I love the botany in this, even though fungus isn't really a plant, but the botany, the nature depicted, I think that's a really good job. And the colors are so nice in this deck. It's interesting. Sort of a helmet. Rainbow sword. Queen of Swords, she looks very haughty. Haughty. Very, very beautiful. Looking towards the near past. She has a very pointy sword. Very pointy crown. She's probably very, very astute, very, almost not wicked, but very judgmental. Her eyebrows, her eyes are very, her lips, they all mean she's very sort of uppity. I don't think she takes any crap either. You look at her wrong and she'll take that pointy sword and she'll poke you with it. And she has lavender in her hand. Here we have the king. He is holding a huge sword, staring right at you. He is ready for war. He's wearing chainmail. He has a big chunky helmet crown. He has gauntlets on. The trees are blowing in the back. He is ready to defend and ready to act. And this is the last suit. Here we have a pentacle. And I've seen the horn table has shown itself in other cards. It's kind of strange. We have the hare going off to a castle. Two of Pentacles. A card of whimsy, of delight, foolishness, excitement, balance, fun. Three of Pentacles. Pentacles of the earth, so everything's grounded and green. Looks like someone drafting, creating. Four of Pentacles. Clutching, holding. Green and brown. Five. Here, this is the card with the sort of the injured, the lepers, the cripples, the destitute, the barren tree. They're hanging on the barren tree. Usually depicted as in the snow with the window. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. The Rider-Waite. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It reminds me of that card. Here we have someone who doesn't look like they're being very charitable. They have it, but they're not giving it. Especially with that grin on their face, they're almost making fun of someone asking, begging for a handout. Seven of Pentacles. Hard work. Well, he's kind of overweight too. He's got a hook. Sweating. Eight of Pentacles. He's making them, almost like a dream catcher. Nine of Pentacles. I love her headdress. It's a huge necklace she has. Looks like a necklace and then she's holding one. She's showing off her wealth, what she has. Ten of Pentacles. Looks like they're a new couple. But also looks like her, sort of, the same sort of headpiece almost to the side. Page. He has fuchsia he's holding. Kind of a gaudy flower, almost alien looking. He's looking backwards. The face cards essentially look like portraits. We have the knight. He has, looks like he's wearing a tunic. Daffodils behind him. Here we have a woman with really interesting hair. Wheat, honeysuckle. Her hair is rope-like, viney. And the king. It looks like foxglove again. Looking backwards firmly, full profile. And that's the deck. That is the Tarot of the Old Path. That is an interesting deck. Beautiful colors. Well done. A lot. For me, this deck would be extremely easy to read with because I can really see the artist putting meaning behind the pictures themselves, as opposed to other decks where the artist just kind of throws stuff together. Like the Dali Tarot, which I'm not a huge fan of, that is now being reissued by Taschen, as well as like Dali's cookbook and the Alice in Wonderland. They're being reissued. I guess there's some every 10 years, 20 years, or some. Everybody gets obsessed with Dali again. I like him, but only to a point. He was eccentric, but he was also very much pompous. And supposedly towards the end of his life, he was going crazy. And people would take advantage of that, and they would draw something or paint something and have him sign it, and he would. And so there's a ton of forgeries out there with his signature that are not even something that he did. Especially stuff from his later life when he wasn't in his full capacity, full mental state. Yeah, and the issue I have with the tarot is, yeah, the things don't match up. They look like it's a random mishmash of stuff, and he signed every card so big, it's so distracting. It's interesting as a collectible thing, but that's it. Anyway, enough of that. And we'll put these cards back. And just when I said I was going to slow down buying tarot, I have 4 decks on order. One is just one from Amazon, and 3 are coming from tarotbg.eu, Tarot Bulgaria, and they are, yeah, like special limited edition decks that I had my eye on, Meninghello, essentially. So, the year's not over with. I said this year would be the year of me buying tons of decks, and I did. But next year I need to really concentrating on card work, not so much the different decks. But I can't say I'll stop, because I still have some pre-ordered. But, yeah, I just happen to feel like rewarding myself, so I bought some more decks, because I like my decks. Anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate it.